Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. I hope you guys are having a great day. We're bearing through the storm here in the DMV area. Today's topic, we're going to talk about people needing to stop trying to outshine everybody else and stop being house poor and stop being car poor so we can be financially intelligent individuals and push forward. Hopefully, you guys like the video. Please give it a like. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. What's up, family? Let's get into the discussion today. So the other day I was actually looking for wholesaling properties and other real estate investment properties driving around the Woodbridge, Virginia area. And I noticed something that kind of makes me laugh and giggle all at the same time because I call the people, and my mother calls these people the same thing, call them car and house poor. Because you have a lot of people in Woodbridge, Virginia, the whole DMV, Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC area, that have overpriced homes and overpriced cars. And they're the first ones that will complain about something costing more than $5 whenever they go out to eat or whenever they have to get gas or whenever they do anything. Everything is expensive. But if you tell them to downsize on their homes or downsize on their cars, they look at you like like you're a ghost or the boogeyman or the zombies from The Walking Dead. I could go on and on with it, but it just kind of makes me laugh. And for those of you guys going through the storm tonight in the DMV area, hold on tight and we'll get through it like we always do. All right. But yeah, a lot of these people end up in a financial ditch, and they stay on the road to getting worse off and barely making it instead of getting themselves on the road slash highway of savings and investing. Their money. It's a crazy concept, but it's a proven concept that's worked since the beginning of time when it comes to money, trade, etc., and so forth. Like I said, I could rant on about that, but I've told people a lot of times it's not about how much you make, but it's how much you can keep, and then it's how much you can invest. So therefore, you can get a return on your investment and then some. When you leave, it's just how I look at it. And then before I go any further, one of my favorite quotes from Bruce Lee: "Showing off is the fool's idea of glory." I couldn't agree more. You can be great at something, you could accomplish many things, but when you're constantly bragging on yourself like you're in a job interview, you tend to show how much of a void that you might have in your life that you're trying to fulfill by getting the approval of others, like you're back in high school. Now, when it comes to the overpriced cars, there's nothing wrong with having a nice car, but if it's bleeding you dry, then I think it's by being your best interest to get something a little bit more expensive so you can add more value to your bank account and add more value to your assets. If you have a great looking car and you're still able to save money and add value to your assets, then hey, high five, more power to you, and we can move on from that discussion. Because it's just what it is. And same thing with houses. A lot of houses in the DMV area, they're worth a lot, but a lot of them just collect dust because a lot of times, especially, I can't speak for other parts of the country, but I know here a lot of people at most they travel an hour and a half to get to work every day because a lot of the jobs, especially if you live in an area like Woodbridge or Stafford or Fredericksburg, you're going to commute. And a lot of times people live in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and they work in DC, Washington, DC, so it takes them 2 hours to get to work unless they're leaving like their house at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, or if they're taking a train, it still takes almost up to 2 hours because of all the stops. Taking the VRE, or if they're driving to Springfield, taking the metro. So it just, is it really worth it just so you can have this big home that for the most part you're not going to be able to spend that much time in, because you're going to be spending all this time commuting. And I'm talking about the workers, I'm not talking about the business owners, because hey, if you're the business owner and you live in Fredericksburg and Stafford and Woodbridge, then this conversation doesn't have nothing to do with you, and we need to connect because hey, I'm trying to get on that level, if you know what I mean. But nothing wrong with having a nice house. But if it's just really collecting dust and the space that you have is not being utilized, or if you're at least not making a profit off of it from a renting it out stage to an Airbnb stage, then I look at it as a waste. And that's just how I look at it. If you just have it, a lot of people get it just so they can brag. And I'm just like, you're just bragging about being house poor. But that's just my opinion. Now back to the cars. Once it leaves the dealership, everybody knows that the car loses value. A lot of people are buying decent cars nowadays, newer cars with decent cars, not too fancy, because they want to be able to have something dependable. And then a lot of people get into the Airbnb, Uber, Amazon, the whole nine. So they're making money off their car, even though they're making car payments on a monthly basis, but they're getting their money back and then some, because they've added value to that car, because they made it a commodity and not just something that they have, because it loses value. Same amount of money that people use for a car payment, they could be putting it into stocks, bonds, or even real estate, and they could be adding value to their portfolio. And if you're doing that and you still have the nice car, then hey, like I said, this doesn't apply to you. I'm just talking about the people that like to show off, and that the old saying, ghetto fabulous, and they're barely getting by, but they're always crying poor mouth. I'm like, but hey, you got the big house, you got the nice car, you should be rolling in the money. A lot of times, not in everybody's case, they fall in that, they just fall into that category, and it's a crazy thing. Now, then there's the scary thing. I was going to say sad thing, but no, the scary thing is a lot of times people will have these overpriced houses. And when I get into the figures of the houses, I'm talking $500,000 to $800,000. I know in some states people like that's not a lot of money, but whatever. And in this market, I consider that I don't even see why the houses, like in California, I get it. In New York, I get it. But in Northern Virginia, in Maryland, it's just like I will never get why. And in DC, just because the federal government is there, I will never understand why homes cost $500,000 to $1 million. I don't see palm trees. I don't see sandy beaches. I don't even see Broadway. So, but that's just me. Anyways, if you have a job and you have all these overpriced things like houses and cars, and you have no backup plan, it is a very dangerous thing, because whether you're a private sector employee or government employee, there's always a chance where, especially nowadays, where you will have a government shutdown, or you will have budgets not being approved and positions being eliminated. As in the federal government, they call it a RIF. And then obviously if the economy tanks, because we live in a boom and bust economy, if you work in the private sector, you have a good chance of losing your job, especially if you're a contractor of some sort. And if there's a time where there's no demand, because the economy is doing great now, but there's always that chance where the economy could go, no matter who the president is, and when it hits, it hits. I've gone over the scenarios. Every 7 to 10 to 15 years, the economy goes down for some sort of reason or another. There's always a reason why it goes down, and then the people that usually profit off of the economy going down is the ones that own the businesses, the ones that own the assets, and the ones that have the money that are saved up. And the ones that have backup plans, because you just can't live life and say, hey, I'm going to work at a job and everything's going to be swell and we're just going to do great for 30 years and then we're going to be all right. Doesn't work like that. That is not the reality in 2018, and we're going into 2019. It's not the reality. You have to have a backup plan, because especially if you have a huge mortgage and you lose your job. Now, this isn't pertaining to the vets, because we have a lot of vets in this area, because this is a very pro-vet. A lot of military bases, military agencies, federal government, the whole nine here. So this doesn't pertain to them, because a lot of them have played the money game in a smart way. They got the much well-deserved government military pension, because they did 20 to 20-something to 30 years in the military, so well-deserved pension. So a lot of times they get other benefits, VA benefits, well-deserved. So they're already getting that monthly check. That's guaranteed until they die. And then a lot of times they end up, and then they get a six-figure job. So they're doing great. And the smarter ones that have that money, they're putting it away and they're investing it. They're not just spending it on frivolous crap. So I know people like that, and I say, hey, thumbs up to you guys. You guys are playing the money game in a great way. Get on their level. If not with the pension, at least get on the level of saving money and investing money. I'm all for that. Okay, because if you don't. And you continue with the high school mentality of actually caring what your neighbor looks like and things of that nature, and you lose your job and end up unemployed, then you could be in a situation where you could lose your house and lose your cars, and it could screw your credit rating up, and then it could really put you in the poorhouse to where you can't even get access to capital that's in funds that aren't even yours. So always have a plan B, C, and D, etc. Cannot stress that enough, because we live in the age of automation. I cannot stress that enough. Just trying to impress people, impress your bank account, and impress your assets. Be more cognizant of how they feel. I care what my bank account and my assets think about me compared to I will compare them as a person. As they say, a corporation is a person. When my bank accounts and my assets are people too, and I love them and I want them to grow and flourish, because their success is my success is their success, etc. and so forth. Look at your bank account and or bank accounts, your asset or assets, as a relationship, and it's one you don't want to get divorced from anytime soon. But allow them to grow and not remain stabilized and stale and stagnated. Do that in the beginning of your life, obviously, but in the middle, towards the end of your life, you want nothing but prosperous bank accounts and assets in your life. And if you have children, obviously you want those things, be able to hand that down to them so they don't have to start at square one when they leave high school. I'm just saying, that high school mentality of trying to impress people, it ain't that serious, And then you have a lot of people that, it gets even more in depth with, and it blows my mind with grown people. They excessively buying name brand clothes, name brand shoes, the whole nine. It is a trip, and it just makes me laugh. And they will go in the poorhouse, and they will have the hugest credit card debts on the planet just so they can look good. And I'm just like, if you care about how you look that much, then just, it's called salespeople. There's always a sale going on, especially nowadays, because every day, at least 5 to 7 to 10 times a day, I'm getting emails from either Amazon or somebody trying to sell me something because it's half off or 80% off. So if it's that serious, get the sales, but just don't shop excessively. Like I said, shop to the point where you can buy. If you're gonna buy something, buy a stock, buy a bond. Buy delinquent. Buy properties that are the taxes are delinquent. It's like there's so many things you can be putting this small amount of dollars into outside of just trying to look good. That's just how I look at it. Now, for the workers, I'm getting to the whole promotions category. Hits close to home. This is why I say you have to have a backup plan. So when you're at a job, you're not worried about a promotion, because at the end of the day, your boss isn't really, unless you and your boss are like real close to the point like you were fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, you were in the military together, or you grew up in the same neighborhood. For the most part, your boss isn't going to look out for your best interest. They're going to look out for their best interest, especially if you're working at a private organization. All they care about is if you're making more money for them. With a government organization, they're just making sure that you're going to fulfill the quotas so that they meet the standards of the taxpayers. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. I'm just saying, they have their self-interest. You need to have your self-interest. And when it boils down to it, and I say this because a gentleman that I know, he got passed up for a promotion, I believe, on the third time. So obviously, usually when people want to get promoted, they want the more responsibility, but the icing on the cake is always promotion means more money. I'm all about the more money aspect of it. Me. That's just how I look at it, because I can use that to grow for me. But anyway, so promotion, more money. Now, this gentleman, went out of his way to tell me, how much he made, which always makes me laugh when people tell me how much they make, and it's usually not over a business conversation. It's over, I just want to impress you nonsense, and I'm not impressed with a high salary, because this is the DMV. Usually, if you live in the DMV, you live in Atlanta, you live in Miami, you live in Houston, you live in anywhere on the major cities on the West Coast, from Portland, Seattle, LA, San Diego. High salaries is just the norm. It's nothing to be impressed by. Now, other parts of the U.S. I can't speak for, but I can speak for those parts. It's not a big deal to have a high salary. So anyways, he tells me he has a high salary. I said, okay, great. He's like, he's one of the highest paid, this, that, and other. I said, okay, great. I'm like, so why are we even having this discussion if it's not about the money? He's like, well, it's the principle. And I said, well, the only principle we should be talking about is how much money we could be making together. Why don't we have a discussion about that? And then of course, he looked at me like I was crazy, and I just said, it's like, really? and then I did another one better. I was like, okay, well, I know you got a military pension. I know you get money from the VA, which is cool. I know you got the high paid salary, So, but then I said to him, what if you lost your job today? What position would you be in financially? And then he got quiet, and then he trying to change the subject, because I'm like, well, how dependent are you on your salary in order for you to pay your mortgage? Because obviously it's not, it's like if you lost your job, you'd still be in a bad place. You could partially probably make your mortgage payments, but other things financially would suffer. So it's not a big enough backup plan. You're putting all and you're getting all riled up and mad, especially because then he had to tell me how much his house is, $535,000. Says he makes $132,000. I said, okay, great. So you got a high mortgage. You're only working in the house. It's you and your significant other. So, and you're telling me you having to pay all this money out for this, that, and other. But I'm just like, well, all this money that you're talking about, you could have put that money into a business. Instead of just stressing and complaining about not getting promoted. It's just like promote yourself into a business, because obviously when you're the CEO, you constantly give yourself a raise and you constantly give yourself a promotion when the profits go up and when the profits don't exceed themselves past crazy. Threw that concept in there, and of course he looked at me like I was the boogeyman, like I was talking another language that he never heard of in his life. And I was just like, well, you can spend all your time complaining about how the system isn't right as far as you getting a promotion, or you could actually just do something about it. It's one of those moments where it's either you put up or you shut up. And the moral of this video is trying to outshine people financially can cost you a lot more things that you could possibly imagine, but it's all about perspective and it's all about changing your mindset, because at the end of the day, it's all about the mindset. And if you don't have the right mindset, then I just don't see prosperity at all at the end of the day. And if you really want to try to impress me, here's one thing you could do: have a $100,000 business. If you have a $100,000 business, then that's saying something to me, at the end of the day. But a $100,000 salary, that's just the norm in the DMV nowadays. It's just it doesn't impress me, and because the thing is, it's like the rules of making money for me is you make money, you put it in things so it can make you money work for you, so you don't work for it, obviously. But then the moral of the story is then you teach others to do that so they can play the money game right, and then they could do something better for the community, no matter where they live at, whether it's a nice neighborhood, whether it's a bad neighborhood. They can spread that wealth and spread that knowledge, and then people could become a team of investors. And instead of just football and what's going on in the media with the Bill Cosby situation, we could be having at the end of those discussions, we could be like, so yo man, this one project, if you put XYZ down and I put XYZ down, then maybe we could just purchase a house, and then we can get some cash flow coming in every month, and then we can take that money and do the same thing and just go over and over and over and over again. But when I'm around a lot of people, that kind of conversation, like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've heard stuff about that, but then that's as far as it goes. So, anyways, to those who have the entrepreneurial spirit, who want to grow, learn, and do better, especially in the real estate market, hey, let's hook up, let's connect. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, please share, and have a great day. And hopefully you guys weather through the storm today, because I know I'm going to do my best to do it at the same time. Take care. Hello everybody, welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hope you guys are having a great day. We're going to brace the storm here on the East Coast like we always have to do. Today this discussion is going to talk about people who are always trying to outshine and impress people that they don't know, probably people that they don't like, and most likely those people don't know and don't like them all at the same time. So hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you guys later.